Hi, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar for support case management. In this case specifically for professional services organizations, but a lot of the knowledge could be applicable across quite a lot of other industries as well. My name is Michael Round and I'm a junior NetSuite consultant here. We've been working with support case management for a while and hopefully we'll teach you a little bit more about it today. So just to go over the agenda for today, we're going to review the three methods for case entry. That's physically inputting cases into your NetSuite. We're then going to be having a look at how to manage the cases once they're set up. So that's assigning cases to support reps, setting case fields and all that sort of stuff, and then actually linking other records to the case itself. So we can link a whole host of records such as entity records, transaction records, and even other case records that are related to the particular case. We're then going to have a review over how the support rep can respond to the case and actually send out an email from within the support case, so directly from the support records, and we'll show you how emails get pinged back and forth that way. And we're going to have a look at another little neat module as well called case solutions. So these are predefined solutions that you can set up ahead of time just to create efficiencies when you're handling cases. And last of all, the bit we're all interested in is looking at some support metrics that NetSuite comes out of the box with. So if we can go ahead and get started, we'll take a look at our three methods for case entry. So first of all, there's a manual case entry through the user interface. Now this is fairly straightforward. You'd enter the case as a record, just like you would, say, a transaction record, a customer record. The form is just specifically set up around logging the case itself, logging and managing the case. The second method of actually entering a case into NetSuite is by using an online form. Now we touched upon online forms in one of our previous webinars that I'm sure we can have a look at as well, to actually enter customers into the system. We can use a similar functionality. We can use standard and advanced online forms to physically push out onto our website or whatever it may be and have a user fill out a case form and ping the details directly into a NetSuite. Once NetSuite receives the details, they'll set up the customer and contact records and they'll assign all the information to the particular case, which is quite cool. Okay, and the third option for case entry is email case capture. Now this is really useful and you might have seen this with a load of other organizations. This is a specific email address that we can email into, such as, let's take it, support@nolanbusinesssolutions.com possibly. And once a user emails that email address, NetSuite will pick up on that and actually create a case from the email message content and the subject, which is really quite nice. And it will map all those fields independently. So the two we're going to look over today are a manual case entry and an online customer form. The email case capture is somewhat similar to the first two. However, it's much simpler. So someone can just email an email address and it will set up a case for you. Okay, we're looking at case management. Now what we see in front of us here is a standard case form. And what's good about NetSuite is, of course, just like any of the other transaction forms, entry forms in NetSuite, we can customize these to be bespoke to the business that we're actually using. So what we can see down here is we've got a number of fields such as subject, contact, company, phone, and who it's assigned to. We've also got case types and case issues. If you've got a piece of information that's specific to your industry or your business and you want to include that to track it on the particular case, that's fairly simple to set up. All we'd have to do is create a custom field, create your source options, and then we're good to go. So we'll come down here and you can see how a user would fill this in from start to finish. So we can fill in the subject title. So this could be, if it was coming in via email, that would be the email subject. So slow application performance in this case. You can assign for which contact at the particular company you're contacting with. So at Thames Water, for whatever reason, we're actually talking to Ben Jarvis. And we've got a log of his phone number and his email address associated with his contact record. This is so that when you're dealing with organizations or companies, you can nail down on specific people that you're talking to within that company. Much like other documents in NetSuite, you also got a status here. These statuses can be preset to match your current statuses, or you can use NetSuite standards, so they could be not started, in progress, closed, or they could be much more complicated, such as reply sent, awaiting customer confirmation, awaiting closed confirmation, things like that. It's fairly flexible for you to go into and actually set it up yourself. We've also got case priorities. So this can be used for a number of things. We can use these when we're reporting on case metrics, but what we can also do is we can use priorities for things like conditional formatting, so highlighting high priority cases in lists, for example. We'll notice as well on here we've got an instant date and an instant time, so it doesn't only track the date, it tracks the date and time. We've used this in an example recently where we were dealing with SLA agreements and SLA response times for a particular customer, and we worked off the incident date and considered the SLA response time stated on the company record to go ahead and calculate when we should be responding by. So that's really quite cool. Again, it's just an example about how much you can customize the case management to fit around your business. If you have any specific requirements, we can usually map the process for you and sort of figure it out. And then we have a couple of type concern. We'll have a look at what other options we have here, and our case issue, again, more for just reporting. So we just hop up. So once we filled out all the core information on the case, so we filled out what the subject is, what sort of problem it is, or what sort of case it is, we can actually go about linking our customer record. And that's the first link we make, so we can tie these records together. The second link we can make, as we mentioned before, is linking a specific contact that's associated with the customer record, so you can keep everything in one place. And the third really quite cool thing is you can actually also link a customer transaction to the case. So if your case that comes in is about, say, a sales order that you got on the system or an estimate that was sent out, your support rep can go ahead and assign that, so you've got everything in one place. And what's really good about this is if you manage it this way, when you look under the customer record, you've got a list of all cases open against them. When you look under the contact record, you've got a list of all cases against them. And when you look under the transaction record, you've got a list of all the cases. So you can really report on these problems. It's giving you a 365-degree view of all the contact that's going on between the customer and yourselves, which is pretty cool. Okay, so we'll move on. So once we've assigned the primary information, once we've assigned the contact, customer, and any transactions involved or any cases involved, here's when we can get down to the actual content of the case. So we'll notice up here on the left-hand side, or sorry, this section is split into two. So we've got an incoming message from the customer, and we've got an outgoing message from the support rep. So what we see here is we can say that this customer is reporting concerns due to slow application performance. This has been inserted here. And this can be inputted in a number of ways. If you're doing it through the user interface, the user of NetSuite can go ahead and just type that in. If it's coming in via an online case form, it will be automatically populated. And if it's coming in through an email, it will be automatically populated as well. So what we've got on the right hand side then, we've received our message, and if we want to reply initially, we don't have to, we can save it without replying, but if we want to send an initial reply, we can go ahead and we can do a number of things. We can hand type a reply into here from our support rep, advising on this particular case, or we could say write a note. So we could write an internal note saying that this needs to look into by, say, the development department. We could untick send to customer and just check internal only. We could also choose to copy employees that are set up in NetSuite. So our NetSuite has a load of employee records set up here, so we can choose to include those in the conversation as well. Another neat feature with the case management is the feature to use solutions. Now solutions are solutions for pre-existing problems, so problems that you may have cases for quite often. So in this case, we can type in something and we can see that a number of solutions are actually filled in here, and it gives you loads of suggestions. We'll show you how this works a little bit later on. This is just an example of how it sources the list view. Okay, so next and last of all, we've got the support metrics. So in NetSuite's release 2017.1, we've done a webinar recently actually as well, came the addition of specific support metrics on the case form itself. Now we've got a whole load of in-detail metrics here that we didn't previously have access to on the case record. So we've got critical pieces of information like time elapsed, time to open, time assign, and initial response time, things like that, so you can really nail down on your reporting. Alongside the particular record metrics, we've also got overall reports. So you can look into things like open and close case analysis and open and close escalation logs, which is really quite cool. So your support manager really can report effectively on the cases that they're opening up. So I think it's probably about time if we hop into our demo, and we'll show you through a number of options about how to get cases into your system and how we can start managing them. So what we've just loaded up here, we've just loaded into our customer service role in NetSuite, and notice our users can have multiple roles. So I'm logged in as Charlotte Green at the moment. She has access to marketing and sales manager roles, but we're going to be looking at her focus on customer service. So notice that this gives her access to the same database, it just restricts her in certain sections, and what it does is it focuses her attentions on a particular set of data. The data in this case being NetSuite cases and case management. So what we can see up here is we've got a load of reminders of cases to respond to, solutions to improve, what we'll go over later. We've also got a couple of KPIs or some BI metrics, however you want to call them, about my cases this and last month, the open cases and escalated cases as well. We've also got a couple of common actions up here right over the top, front and center, so that our support rep, Charlotte Green, can go ahead and access these functions just at the very top of the page, so we can create new cases, new solutions, new topics like that. We can review common reports as well, such as open and closed case analysis. We can also do a couple of other things, so we can create customers, place orders and things like that. Again, these dashboards are entirely customizable to what you want to view. If you want a more specific role and you only want them to be able to review cases, but you don't want them to be able to create and look at customers, that's absolutely fine. If you need a more varied role where you might need a user of NetSuite to go in and manage cases, but also manage sales and transactions, that's absolutely fine as well. You can merge all that information into one. It's entirely in the setup of the roles and the dashboards. So yeah, it's entirely fine. We've also got a couple more support metrics down here. We've got, again, new cases, open cases, escalated cases and closed cases metrics for this week, and then those, the different financial quarters, so it can break it down into that. And we've also got cases by customers. So this is just giving you an illustration of how many views we can have, how we can manipulate the data that's on the system very easily to put a data set in front of you. So we look down here, we've got a lot of visual elements to this as well. We can see things like high priority cases. So cool. So let's have a look at how we'd actually create a case. So there's a number of ways. As you know, we can probably start by clicking new case here, and this would load us up a new case form. That's one way. In our call to actions at the top right hand corner, where you'd usually find actions to create customers, transactions. In this case, we've got the option to create a new case record. Again, we can do it that way, and we can also create a case through Cases Customer Services New. And if you need to customize your center bar to have your case option up there, that's again absolutely fine. So to create a case from scratch, it's fairly easy. You can come into here, and we can just load up the case record, not the customer record. Just hop back there, and we can load up the case record. You can then start filling in your subject. You can fill in the company who is applicable to and which contact of the company. This is quite nice as well, because the contact records will actually source and refine your contact list depending on what company you actually nominate. Now this is probably going to be more applicable if you're taking a case over the phone or you're not using email case capture and you're manually entering the cases. Again, it's entirely up to you how you manage case creation. One of the ways I like to create cases is by using the online forms. To give you an example of that, we can hover up to our NetSuite case form, and this is the basic one. It's a very standard form. However, these can be entirely customizable, and they can be styled to fit in with your current website. It's entirely up to you as well. So yeah, what we can see is here we've got a few fields that are going to map directly to our case fields in NetSuite. So we've got subject, company name, first name, last name, email, and message. And this is quite cool as well, because if it doesn't pick up on the company, or sorry, if it doesn't pick up on the contact that you're entering, it'll actually create them as a new contact for a particular case. And we'll show you that in a minute. So let's just go ahead and we'll enter a case from one of our customers. So for example, if one of our customers, ABR Inc., is having hosted Google Mail issues, we can start off with that. So we can start by writing in the subject of the case. We can write in the company name. I can write in my contact details, and I can just blot in my email address as well. And I could also include a message here for the message body. So this is a detailed response to the case, asking them or telling them the problem. Perfect. Ooh. I have an issue with my Google Mail account. Now this is really quite cool, because if we head back onto the dashboard, I want to show you exactly how this works. So notice at the moment on our customer support metrics, we currently have 6 new cases sitting in the window. What happens is that when I submit this case, the form will ping off and it'll go through the process of creating a case in NetSuite, and it will also redirect the form to wherever you wish. So we've got it just redirect into the NetSuite company website. However, you can have it redirect your web store. It's up to you to nominate that URL. If we just head back to our support customer service manager's dashboard, we should notice that our new cases this week will pop up from 6, and it should add a new one, and it should increase to 7, and there we go. So that's telling us that a new case has been created in the system. Just like anything in NetSuite, anything with a blue highlighted button, you can drill down into it and you can view more of a record. So right here we can see a snapshot view of all the cases that have been created. And right down at the bottom we've got hosted Google Mail issues, and we can see that it's not started and that a support rep isn't assigned. So let's just go ahead and we'll click onto that. What we'll notice as well is straight away, before we look at the top, the primary information up here, we can see that the first message has been added, and we can see that the author has been added, and we can see the message in full. We can see that it's sent via an email as well, and we've got full date and timestamps on this, which is pretty cool. So if for whatever reason it hasn't picked up a contact, we can come in here and we can just assign a contact, which will pick up on phone emails and things like that. We can also assign the cases to a specific support rep who is a NetSuite user. So if I myself want to take on this case, we can go ahead and we can add Charlotte Green, or if you wanted to nominate someone else to look into the case, we can do that as well. Again, workflows can be set up as well, or case rules, so that it assigns the case to different people, possibly depending on territories or whatever logic you want to put in your workflow. So we'll go ahead and we'll save that there. One thing that's really nice to add here as well is notice that microgram's been created as a customer. However, if that wasn't the actual contact, we can go ahead and we can create a new contact off the bat. So from this contact form, we can fill in a new contact name, and it would actually assign them to the case for the primary contact for response. Okay, so now that we've assigned a contact to myself, we can go ahead and fill in a little bit more information about the case. You can say that the case is not started still. We can say this is probably a high priority case because their Google Mail accounts is having issues. And we can assign the case types. So notice in here, we've got a load of different case types, so concern, problems, questions, And these case types can be defined in your system setup. It's entirely up to you. Again, you can make them fit your business. So we're going to call this a problem, and we're going to say that the case issue is a product issue. Now, filling in all this information now will be really useful, because when we come to report later on, we'll be able to report pretty effectively on exactly what the majority of our cases is causing, and what the majority of our time is being spent on fixing. So just like I mentioned before, we can add transaction records, which we'll go into later, but you can also add additional cases to this. So say, for example, if a customer created multiple cases by accident, you can go ahead and you can join them together and close one down. So yeah, it's entirely up to you how you'd like to use that. We've also got a close reason here that will come on to later. Notice that it's not mandatory at the moment, but when we actually toggle the status to close, the close reason will become mandatory. It's a nice little bit of automation there, and we'll show you, but we'll just leave it on not started now. Going down to the message section, you can see that the original message is still intact. However, we can't actually edit this. What we can do is, if the customer's added a new bit of correspondence, we can go ahead and type in a new message here, and that'll add it to the message audit trail. So say, for example, we've still not had a response. We can receive that from the customer, and that'll add it to the message audit trail. We can also send a reply out for here, and we can manually type in a reply here for whatever we want, or we can use a really neat feature, as I've mentioned, called solutions. Now, I know that this problem's happened before, so another customer has had problems with their hosted Google Mail. So what we can do is we can type in our solutions and see if we've got any solutions to this one. So we've had one ping up here, the Google Mail server issues. If we click on that, it will go ahead and it will load in the solution. But notice we can still type around this, edit it a little bit, and customize it for the customer. So you can make it really specific. What's good as well is if the support rep comes across the solution, they can actually log new solutions on the fly. So you can give it a code, you can assign it to someone a title, you can give it an abstract, so a description of the problem, and then a description of the fix. You can then also actually assign the review status. So if you wanted a program where you didn't actually want solutions to be made on the fly, but you wanted them to be submitted to, say, your tech department for review and approval, we can do that as well. So that's pretty cool. So let's just close this down, and we'll view what happens when we save this. So we've inputted a new customer message, we've inputted a solution which is going to create a customer response, and we've nominated to send it to the customer. If we wanted to at this point, we could go ahead and include a couple of employee emails to this, but we're not going to. So if we go ahead and we save this record, we'll see how it updates the case. Now what you should see is there's an independent line with a time and date stamp for each case response. So yeah, what we've got here, exactly right. We've got our initial message, and then we've got our response, and then a message update. So that's really quite cool. Okay. So if we go back onto the dashboard, we'll see that all of these will updated, and we could probably see that my open cases will increase as well. Oh no, that's already got it in. So yeah, so let's hop back onto the PowerPoint and review where we are. So we have just, we've gone over 3 methods for case entry. We've had a look at how to actually manage cases, and we've had a look at the support rep response. We've also had a look at case solutions. The last thing we're going to look at is support metrics, but before we go on to that, we're going to have a look at a few other ways to actually make efficiencies when actually entering cases onto the system. So say if you're manually entering cases, we can of course just go up and create a new case on the fly, but what we can also do is we can go ahead and create cases against specific customer profiles, and this will go ahead and pre-populate the case for you. What also good about this is as well, because we've associated a customer, we can see all of the particular support cases associated with their account. So under our prospect ABR link, we can see a whole host of cases that we've associated. This one being the most recent, we can see that we've set it as high priority and we've set it to Charlotte Green. Again, we can sort these by open, close cases, anything like that. We can go a link deeper as well by actually associating to a particular transaction. So ABR Link has got this estimate open, document number 2586. What we can do is we can actually go ahead and we can link this particular transaction to it as well. So we can either create a new case, which will pre-populate the company. You can nominate your contact, and it's pre-populated the fact that this transaction is linked with it, or we can do it retrospectively as well. So what we can do is we can take this estimate number and we can head back onto our original case, and we can say that these hosted Google Mail issues are linked to this transaction. We can edit it, we can go on related records, and we can go ahead, nominate the transaction, and we can attach it. And that way, 2586, there we go, it's attached there. That way, this estimate is now linked. The good thing about that is that when we go on the estimate, because it's linked, it should appear on the support section. Ooh. Okay, where is the support section? There we go. In related records, we can view it under the support section. So we can see that this hosted Google Mail issues case has been highlighted here. So that's a way we can link records, case records to transaction records and customer records as well. So the last thing to go over is just some of the case metrics. So obviously we've seen all the dashboard metrics that are available, and these can be fully customizable. Pretty much whatever view you want the data in, we can pretty much always manage it if the data is there. What also comes out of the box is some standard case reports, and these are really quite nice. So if we just load up an open case analysis, this should give us an open case analysis per employee. And it gives you two views of this. So it gives you the summary view and it gives you the detailed view. Now this is really quite cool because you can actually drill down into each particular records. So here we can look at a detailed review, and it will give you a list of all cases open per support rep. And again, if we click onto any one of the particular cases, we can load directly into it. So another one of the reports, we can have, again, look at the closed case analysis. And these can be customized using our report builder. So yeah, you can pretty much get the view that you're looking for. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. So thank you for attending today's webinar. If you have any questions, if you'd like to forward your questions on to sales@nolanbusinesssolutions.com, hopefully we can get them answered to you. So thank you very much for listening.